Good evening, everyone. Oh, this light's all right, isn't it? I was just thinking I should probably turn the big light on, but can't be asked. Look at us doing our very first midnight feast reading. Thanks for staying up. I'm tired. This has been such a long week. I I'm just no, I'm not quite as tired as little Pooch here, who's been with me to a little gig this evening. Although having a slight an issue with her. Is Kim here? I need to ask her dog expertise. Have I seen Kim in the chat yet? Oh no, I haven't. How do I convince my dog that she's allowed to wee outside in places that aren't a garden? So I took her for a little walk earlier and we walked to the allotment, which is only like a 5-minute walk away. And then we played at the allotment for a bit and then we walked back. And when she got back, she was absolutely busting for the loo. And she's just done it again tonight. We've been down to the beach. And I can't quite persuade her that it's okay to wee in places because then she gets back, sees the garden, and goes crazy. So I'm assuming the answer is I just wait until she wees somewhere and then give her crazy treats. But I'm just worried that she's so worried about going that she's not doing it, and I don't want her to be sad. But maybe I'm overthinking it. I love her so painfully much. Mystic says, enjoyed your good, the bad, unexpected earlier. Oh, thanks. That was really fun to record. I really love Mark Nelson. I really rate him. I think he's excellent. Look, did you enjoy your time on Stu's Think Tank on Wednesday? I had such a good time. But I'll be honest, I didn't really know what was going on. Stu messaged me about 2 days before or something. He said, you free on Wednesday? I've got this balmy idea and I don't know how it's going to go. Can you give me some things that you like? So I was like, yeah, like how are these things? Like, here you go, have some stuff. And and then yeah, it just turned up and that all happened. It was pretty mad. It was great fun. I had to show bits of it to Tom. JB says, pick a word to associate with it and use it when she does, and then you can ask her. Okay, so if I say we to her when she's weeing, then maybe she'll associate the word we with we. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Rich, as well. That is helpful. Um, she's so sleepy right now, bless her. She's just come and sat backstage at a gig. She was very good. Though I have learned social distancing with a puppy is impossible. People just come over and you're kind of like, oh, the R rate is, could we? Hi, Georgina. Lovely to see you. Oh, a little midnight fun. It's lovely to be doing a live one. So I've done the dates for next week. Monday is going to have to be a pre-record. I'll probably record that Sunday just because I'm gigging on Monday in Leicester. If anybody is in the Leicester area. Um, and then, yes, I think Wednesday and Friday, which we could do midnight again on Friday if this is popular. That would be fun. I suppose I should find today's chapter. There it is. Well, there it is. So, what was the last question? Oh, yeah. Oh, you had quite a big decision to make. Where does Ezria go? So, she's turned invisible in Vanweer's office. Or Vanweer. Is that how I'm supposed to say it, Kim? Vanweer? And yeah, she's turned invisible and now she's out on the street, but where does she go? Womp womp womp. I'm pleased that I got this chapter done actually because I sat down to write it. I've had a crazy week. I've had so much on and it's just been a lot. And I got all my morning stuff done today. And then I sat down at about 3 o'clock to write this. And then the next thing I knew, I was waking up at 5:15 with Mackie having a little nap right next to my face. I was like, oh shit, it's 5 o'clock and I've got to be somewhere at 7:30. So we quickly wrote the chapter, but I think it's all right. This story is actually really helping me because I think plot is something I struggle with a bit as a writer. I'm good at description and characters and stuff, but keeping the plot going along is tricky. I'm not naturally very good at it. So this one's helping me to try and keep things active. Mystic says, I kept finding new podcasts with you in them. You've been everywhere this week. Yeah, it's book promo, isn't it? All of a sudden, everybody's like, good Laura, come on your podcast. The one I'm desperate to do is Greg Jenner's one. I really want to do You're Dead to Me. I love it so much. Georgina says, I have hair dye on my head and it's due to be washed off now. Going to be fun to see how it ends up. Oh, yeah. Okay. We need pictures of that. I dyed mine the other week and Mackie came in and I sort of tried to push her away because she was trying to drink the water. And I was like, no, it's got hair dye in it. Ended up dyeing her neck slightly orange. Right. We should probably read some chapters, shouldn't we? So you poor people can get on with your days or go to bed. Right. Here we are. Chapter 14. How are we at 14 already? Chapter 14. Maureen knew she needed to act fast in case the magic stopped and she suddenly came back into view. The street outside Vanweer's office building was beginning to come alive with the day's activities, and as she watched, guard after guard came tumbling out of the front door to proceed out in a different route across the city. They were after her. Maureen knew Vanweer wouldn't risk causing a scene by filling the streets with guards unless she was hell-bent on finding Maureen. This was escalating rapidly. Maureen looked about her for safety, but where to go? Her first instinct was to race to her parents' home and check they were okay. See that despite all this madness and the world turning topsy-turvy, the little house still stood there between those of her neighbours. Maureen's feet began leading her towards the little house and the people she loved most in the world. She pictured herself bustling in and throwing their clothes into a bag, telling them to run away and keep safe until she could let them know everything was okay. Her mind was so distracted with thoughts of rescuing her helpless parents that Maureen didn't notice the guard looking to cross the street in front of her. Not being able to see her own limbs, she didn't notice that they were on a collision course until they bumped into each other. Sorry! The word fell out of her mouth towards him before she could stop her treacherous tongue. The guard blinked into the open air before him, brushing his arm confusedly. Then he seemed to force himself into understanding and swallowed with the shock. She's here! He sent up the alarm. Heads whipped around in their direction, and Maureen just about managed to get herself together in time to shrink back against a wall. It would have been comical if she hadn't been so scared. All these official guards with their arms spread out in front of them looking for the invisible criminal. They looked like playground children. She may have head home, called an officer and signalled to his troop to follow him. Maureen's stomach turned sour. She couldn't go home now. There was no way she would be able to explain everything to her parents, including why she was a disembodied voice, before the guards arrived. She would have to look for Ezria. Maureen decided to head for the cavern, the last place she had felt safe and confident. How had she got caught up in this mess? After a lifetime of wishing for something different and extra, Maureen was beginning to understand why Tingians generally craved peace and simplicity. She padded as quietly as she could across the city towards the cavern. She saw fewer and fewer guards as she got further out into the outskirts, and her heart rate began to calm. It was eerily quiet compared to the chaos in the centre. Maureen quickly found the entry hole to the cavern and scurried inside, trying not to dislodge any rubble or small stones and give a clue to a spying eye that someone was here. The tunnel seemed to have doubled in length since she was last here. It twisted and turned, and every corner smelt of urine and droppings. Every few paces, Maureen had to stop to convince herself that she could not hear footsteps following her. She moved as silently as she could, but she was slowly starting to feel like her best was nowhere near good enough. She couldn't stop thinking about guards turning up at her poor, confused parents' house. They would be drinking hot root brew and having breakfast when uniformed officers arrived and began banging on the door. Would they even knock? By the time Maureen arrived in the hollow of the cavern, she was 100% glad she was invisible because tears were pouring down her tiny face. She stumbled to the middle of the hole and sat on the floor, hugging her knees up to her face. Maureen, came a gentle voice behind her, and Maureen's head whipped around. She saw Ezria emerging from the gloom. Can you see me? Asked Maureen, trying to wipe the tears and snot from her face. Yes, said Ezria, and Maureen breathed a sigh of relief that she was visible again. She looked down at her feet. They were still not there. Oh, she exclaimed. How? There was a pause as she watched Ezria swallow and seemed to make up her mind about what to say next. I have gifts too, came the words eventually. Ezria's voice was so quiet and faint that Maureen was hardly sure she had heard them right. You have the magic. I do, At least, I think you and I have some similar abilities. From what I've noticed occasionally of you in your training, and then that night in the rain confirmed we were similar. Of course, I have had many more years to hone the control of mine. Ezria reached out an arm and handed Marine a cup of steaming root brew. Marine concentrated on getting the cup safely to her lips without pouring the scalding liquid down her front. Ezria watched her fondly. Why did you send me to touch the stone? Marine asked suddenly. I mean, if you had the magic too. I thought you stood the best chance of not being detected in the lab. My face is too well known. It turns out neither of us stood a chance about Vanweer, but I took a gamble. I'm sorry you were put in danger. Why not just touch the stone topside? We could have known what was happening before Vanweer even got involved. Marine was beginning to unwind the knot of tension in her back now the hot root brew was in her stomach. She realized how tired she was, having been awake and on edge all night. I couldn't risk it in front of the team. I have been growing suspicious for nearly a year that Vanweer has had a mole in my team, and I couldn't have risked the stone glowing under my touch and then losing the stone as well as giving myself up. I didn't realize Vanweer would make a move so soon. Marine had so many questions. Wait, what? You knew something was up with Vanweer? You thought, but who? Who would have betrayed us? Marine threw the faces of all her old team through her mind. She couldn't imagine any of them betraying Ezria, but then she would have found it hard to have imagined being invisible in the cavern as a fugitive before today. Ezria was nodding tiredly before her. Sadly, yes. I have noticed changes within the government for the last year. Missions that should have gone ahead being cancelled, evidence just vanishing into the system, and everything being smiled over. It's almost as if Vanweer doesn't want the stones on people's mind. But there was only one more left to find. Marine thought over the announcements that all but one of the great stones had been found. Exactly. They were interrupted then by Aysmar, appearing breathless before them in the cavern. Aysmar, Ezria continued, do you have a report? Oh God, what's this Swedish? Marine has escaped from Vanweer's captivity, and they have put a citywide announcement for her capture. She has been listed as armed, dangerous, and to be captured on sight using any force. Her parents have been arrested and taken to Vanweer's office. Have you seen or heard from Marine? Where do you think she would go? Ezria and Marine looked at each other in horror. Bum, bum, bum! So there you go. There's your chapter. A few of you saying in the chat that you knew Ezria was going to be magic. Well, I didn't know she was going to be magic until your vote decided it then. If she'd gone to her parents would not have been arrested, but Ezria would not have been magic. But she went to Ezria to report in, so Ezria is magic, but her parents got arrested. So your voting made Ezria magic. I hadn't decided that before then. So your next vote, I think this could be quite fun. And this is going to decide whether there's a mole in the team or not. So it's up to you guys as to whether there's a mole and who it is to a certain extent. Your question is, do they tell Aysmar that Marine is there and invisible? So Aysmar can't see Marine, doesn't realise she's there, gives the report. Do they tell Aysmar that Marine is there and invisible? Your options are a simple yes, a simple no, or you can say yes, but they say the invisibility was Vanweer's doing, or no, but when Marine is visible again, they do reveal that she has some magic. So your options are yes, they tell her that she's there and invisible straight away. No, they don't do that. Yes, but they say the invisibility was Vanweer's doing. Or no, but when Marine is visible again, they do reveal that she has some magic. So totally up to you, and it's going to have some big ramifications, your favorite word. So get voting. If you could vote by Sunday, that would be great. And I will set the pre-record up for Monday while I'm in Leicester with Sleepy Pup. There she is. She's so sleepy. She's so sleepy. Oh, you woken up. You gonna say hello? No, straight back to sleep. Okay, I'll stop giving you motion sickness. So get voting because the fate of the team rests on you, and I will sort of see you Monday. Bye.